Cove Charitable Trust, everything.
So there should be a document that was in the amended packet, which is the letter that class, it's an organization, they used to fundraise, but essentially this organization has since stepped in and they provide $6,500 to support field trips for social studies classes at the high school. So we would just need the board to accept that donation, and she is responsible for keeping an accounting of that and providing the trust back with a report of how those funds are used.
I have a motion to accept the $6,500 grant from Cove Charitable Trust. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That's great. Do we generally write thank you letters to organizations that large, or?
I haven't.
You haven't. Oh,
I've been on here all that long.
We'll move on to the Spinelli Field Track and Lighting Upgrades Capital Project. We need to set up public information hearing. This needs to be run by the board, and it needs to be within 10 days.
Yeah, so a couple months ago when the board decided that they wanted to put this out to a vote again, now we've got all the legal documents that have to be executed in order to make it legal. So the first thing we need to do is set that public information hearing, which actually appears in two of the documents that are also on the agenda tonight. So one of them is the necessity resolution, and the other one is the actual warning of the annual meeting. So what I plan to do is once you all find a time that works for you, we have that set and update those other two documents. I'll run and print them and then bring them back so everybody can sign. That's here tonight. Anybody remotely, we'll keep them here at the front desk to come in and sign as well. So the meeting does have to be run by the board, so we would need to have a quorum there. It's the opportunity for the board to essentially discuss why they feel this project is needed at the high school and that we will have to borrow funds in order to accomplish it. Yes, so 10 days before the meeting, which is basically the last week in February.
So the week of the 26th, does that give us enough time? Or do we need to be during the
No, because the 10th day would be, I think, the 24th, which is Saturday.
you have a preference, or does the board have a preference for setting a date?
So in the meetings, we were, correct me if I'm wrong. In the meetings, there was discussion, we're having informational sessions for the public. And there were two dates that we picked, and then one of them would count for that meeting. I thought that was the idea, but is that not necessarily going to?
If you can have a quorum of the
If you
board
want it
there.
as this board meeting, not the Spinelli Field Committee meeting, and you have a full forum of that board.
The other thing
That would
was
give the public, it would kind of do two things at once, because I think that was the thought process that Chad had as the chair of the committee, but.
I thought we had two dates.
We do have two dates, one's the 12th and one's the 27th. So the 27th would work, but I guess the board would all have to be there, and I don't think that part was clear. I don't think we discussed that it had to be the full board there. So I guess that's the only additional portion of it, is that just let that, we'll have to bring that back to Chad and let him know that the full board has to be there.
He knows.
Okay. I assumed, but I didn't want to make that something.
Right, so that's why I put this on the agenda tonight, for you all to have a discussion, because if you want to do them together, that's totally fine. But I know that the location plan is the auditorium at the high school, which isn't typically where this board meets. So again, just wanted you all to have the opportunity to discuss it and see how you wanted to handle it.
And we can do it both ways, like we can have the informational session and then have an additional meeting.
My question to you, or people on this panel, do you find that like a third shot at the same, like providing like having the two informational meetings and then having the board meeting with that, some of that information again would be beneficial to have 3 times, or do you think have, dealing with it?
I thought the purpose of the meeting was to inform the public all the reasons that we need a field.
Correct. Which is basically what the purpose of that meeting that they're requiring us to do is. So I don't think it's necessary to have 3, so if we can have the
Susan has her hand.
the full board at the meeting, at the high school as part of that informational session, I think that would probably be the best avenue if the board was in agreement with that.
Susan, did you have a comment?
I did. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I put my hand up because I was going to say pretty much what Shalia just said, is that as long as we could get a quorum, I think it would be best served if the board heard all of what we had to present. I mean, we are going to have some guest speakers there as well. So from around the state and outside of the state. So I think it would be a good thing if it could be on the 27th. And even though that is my birthday, just saying, somebody better have cake.
What time?
I think it was 5:30. 5:30 to 6:30.
Would we need a public comment? Okay.
Anytime the board needs.
Okay,
Yeah. By 7.
it's a Tuesday.
That's the first day.
Recess.
Friday's the second day. That's not the same. Okay, I'm sorry. It's the state, first day of state cross-country meet in Middlebury. I could pull over, well, it won't be able to be, you have to be in person for that one.
The auditorium's not set.
Oh, yeah,
up.
right, the auditorium would not be set up as Zoom, right?
I think that they were planning on it.
Yes, they're planning that because some of the speakers are from a long ways away.
I think the plan was to have it Zoom available.
Mr. Payne, does the auditorium have Zoom capability?
I have to look into.
I mean, I guess anywhere could. I mean, you can project onto a screen how good the audio is going to be.
Does the district own an owl?
At our last meeting, we
Piece
did
of
discuss it, and
technology.
Chad was going to look into that.
Yeah, like Susan
I
said.
know
at
that
the
Southwest
last
Tech
meeting.
does, but we do not.
I think Chad was looking into the Zoom option, Zoom link with,
It very well may be possible if we just,
I'm gonna see if I can borrow one.
Question, I'll make it ask, but. I just don't remember so much zooming.
No.
and we have to have a quorum, but we're not necessarily voting on anything that day.
No,
You just have to have a quorum there.
And the meeting is run by the board, according to our attorney.
So, I mean, I'm not opposed to the 27th. I don't know what the rest of the board, I know that, is that gonna be a big conflict for you to, it is gonna be a big conflict. Have we already put out promotional materials? Like, I mean, could we move it to the Twitter? I mean, is it, I'm just concerned
The
about our
state needs
size,
to-
of, like, in terms of making sure that we have a quorum.
I mean, worst case scenario, we could just have a board meeting that day and be available to present to the public if, I mean, not that day, another day, that week. But we'd have to bring this back to Chad, where I don't
like
think,
one of your guests
Yeah.
invited, right? If you have
right.
featured speakers, so they're already committed to the 27th.
I think they've already been told the dates and stuff
Okay.
like that. So I don't think we have the, authority to say, make any decisions.
There's a chance that I'd be able to,
Oh,
well, either call in or leave Middlebury a little earlier, 3:30, and be here by 5:30.
I mean, I think the other thing that I was thinking that would be a possibility would be I mean, what would be the risk if the board, is there a risk if the bulk of the board showed up on the 20th, like if we know in advance, like if we just warned it something for the 28th in case we needed it? Or is that too? And I guess
If I'm the only one that's.
if you're the only one, then we should
Right,
be
if
fine.
you're gonna have a quorum on the 27th, then go with the 27th if your speakers are there.
If you're planning on being there. And Susan, I'm assuming you're planning on,
I'm hoping to be there. I'm getting ankle replacement on the 15th, but as long as Lorraine can wheel me in, I was planning on it.
I'll come pick you up, Dave.
and I'll reach out to you. So, I mean, I
But
guess.
you also have the option to, well, hopefully join by Zoom if you aren't rolling well that day.
27th at 5:30 in the auditorium at the high school with a Zoom link that I can create and will publish on these documents. Okay.
I think from a 5:30 to 6:30 standpoint, though, I mean, if we have to do open or public comment, we maybe want to prepare to run.
Longer.
Right, yes, right. Okay, do we need to vote? I mean, that's an action request. Do we need to vote on that or is that,
You can set
Yes.
meeting dates, the chair.
okay, I can set it. All right. We will set the meeting for 5:30 in the auditorium at Mount Anthony on the 27th for a public information hearing on the Spinelli Field track and lighting upgrades. We're gonna move on to consideration of adoption of necessity resolution.
So this is the document.
Can I just ask a
um,
question? Or a comment? Once that Zoom link is created, Renee, can you forward that to the committee members so that we can get it out to in all of our
Yes.
Yep.
sorry. Thank you.
The necessity resolution is the legal document which basically is stating that the board has decided that this capital project is a necessity. So with that, then we go on to the declaration of intent, which is the other document, which is basically saying that we need to borrow funds to do that. So the way that it's on the agenda is for the board to consider this. I think we've already considered it, so it's basically just be adopting the document. You can waive the reading of the whole document, and then everybody can sign once I get it updated.
Can I have a motion to adopt the document as presented with the amended time? I think in paragraph 5 has 6 o'clock, so we amend it to 5:30 for February 27th. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Move on to consideration of adoption of declaration of intent.
I don't think anybody seconded that.
Oh,
So just
sorry.
in case,
Okay,
because I wouldn't want to have to go
to
back.
deal with it again, okay.
Yep.
I'll second.
You'll second, okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, opposed, okay.
Fine.
So why don't we just in case, because Richard's listening, so who made the motion?
So the motion was made by Charlie, seconded by
By
Scott.
Be nice and clear.
Okay.
Nice.
Moving on to consideration of adoption of declaration of intent.
So this document, as posted with the amended agenda yesterday, does not need to be adjusted at all. There's no dates in it. It's basically the board's intent to borrow funds. And we did make sure that legal crafted this in such a way that it allows us to look at the bond market, but also conventional loans as well. So we're covered.
Can I have a motion to approve the document as presented?
Second.
Any discussion? Just had one question on section 3. That's supposed to be at that $1 million, right? Not supposed to- Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is it? Okay. We're gonna move on to review and approve the annual meeting warrant.
So this one has, this has been posted. We did have a small update. I had the district clerk take a look at it, and we were missing the polling location and times for the North Bennington Graded School District voters. So that has been updated on the version that is now up on the website, but we do also need to add into it the public informational hearing, so I will go ahead and do that. We'll update this again on what's posted on the website, but I'll do that for everybody to sign. So this is our annual document. It's notes how many board seats we have open, and there are quite a few, so if anybody out there is interested, you've got to get your petitions into Cassie Barbo by January 29th. And then the floor meeting, we should mention that we flipped that with SVU ESD. It will be here the day before the actual vote, but we moved it to 6:15 to accommodate those folks that have to be at Southwest Tech at 5:30. So we'll be here at 6:15 for Mount Anthony. We'll do 6 o'clock for SVU ESD's floor meeting. And then whoever needs to go over to the firehouse for 7 o'clock, I believe is when.
And there's the option to join those both places.
Yes.
Sorry, can you say those times again?
Union Elementary is at 6 o'clock and Mount Anthony will be at 6:15.
Both here?
On
Yes.
March 4th.
Both here on March 4th.
Monday, yeah.
Do I need to read the full document and
You can waive the reading because at the floor meeting, we'll
We're gonna
actually
read it.
be
We're
going
gonna have
through
it first.
reading.
Okay. So I'm gonna waive reading the document, but we will be voting, for the warning for the annual meeting, which is March 4th, at 6:15, at central office, and for the vote for March 5th. Can I have a motion to approve the document?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. We have, we've previously had amended the consent agenda to include the field trip. How would the group like to vote? One, like for the full consent agenda, or, should we go the minutes through nominations and then the field trip separately?
And the whole kit caboodle.
Altogether.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Any discussion? You want to tell us a little bit about the trip?
Yeah, I mean, it's an annual trip. We were not able to do it for a few years during, when COVID was really spiking. Before that, I want to say it's a trip that was gone on a dozen times or more. We got back to business last year. Weather almost threw a little curveball at us, but we were able to make a safe journey. I think it will say on there for sure, so don't quote me on it, but I believe it's 3 nights. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that is, I want to misspeak on that, 2 or 3, but
It's March 7th through the 9th.
the 2 nights, 3 days. They usually leave first thing in the morning. There's I believe an adequate number of chaperones. It's only 2 school staff. There's both foreign language teachers from the school are going. There's a number of other chaperones that, have been, put on the form, and, that will go through the process at the district office level to make sure that they've all been, background checked and they're able to attend the trip. I'm not sure, this is a culminating experience for 2 years, it's a successful completion of 2 years of the, foreign language program, in middle school. I can do my best to answer other questions, or I can get other answers if I don't have them.
Just make sure that the bus company is fully vetted, fully insured. I don't want to see our kids on TV.
Absolutely, I agree with that. I can't remember the name of the agency, but they speak very highly about it.
Jump Street.
Yep, they've been using it for a number of years. I can do a little bit more, information on that, if necessary. I don't have any more this time.
I went on it last year, it's a great trip. Well-run, super organized, lots and lots and lots of information, takes a long time.
Very specific itinerary.
Yes,
you know.
it's a well-run, well-oiled machine.
Historically, I think it's the first time we had COVID impacting our school district, that trip. I don't know if you were.
We got over the border just in time.
Next
We
direction.
came back.
Then
down
when
on
I
our
returned,
team.
remember the, one of the tour
Tour guides.
guides had come down with COVID and it incited panic among the returning students in the very, very early days of the pandemic. That's from my mind, like.
Still an excellent trip.
So we have a motion that's been seconded.
Oh, yeah.
All in
It's like
favor?
14 hours left.
Okay, Susan. And we're gonna move on to the superintendent's report.
So during this board, just want to talk about one thing this evening, recent topic, snow days. And explain a little to, especially to new board members, of what goes into that process. A little confusion yesterday from a couple of emails that I got. First thing, and this may be a surprise to some, even though Arlington is part of the SBSU, they do not necessarily take my call for canceling school. I consult with the principals there. This is from the direction of the Arlington School Board because they have their own transportation. They have their own buses. It's not just due for. So they had school yesterday. We did not. I was concerned as the afternoon came over and, you know, what transpired that. Why didn't I do an early release yesterday? That was one question I asked. Because I also have multiple elementary schools. It may work well for the high school and maybe, you know, okay for the middle school. Does not work well for the elementary school. So unless I announce well in advance, like we knew this was coming and guaranteed it was going to come, if the day before school had dismissed, I had informed everyone that we were going to do an early release the next day, I would be more comfortable. So unless there's an extreme emergency, I'd rather be on the side of safety and cancel school rather than try and at the last minute get together an early release. The process that I use is I consult with the bus company. They consult with road companies. I check weather forecasts. It starts about 4 o'clock in the morning, looking to see what it looks like. And Mike Gardner from Dufour Transportation is always very helpful in making these decisions, but his comment to me yesterday was, Jim, this one's on you. Because, you know, I have to make the call by 5:30 in the morning. I mean, it can go a little bit later, but by 5:30, they're already at the bus barn, drivers reporting, getting ready for them to start to go to, some of our high school students are picked up pretty early. So, you know, it's not snowing at 5:30 in the morning, and what decision do you make? But every forecast said, even though we weren't going to get a lot of snow, it really looked like it was going to peak at around the dismissal time. So that's where I made that decision. One of those things that, you know, and according to Katie West, who always tells me never read what they're saying on Facebook, that some people thought it was a good decision and some people thought it wasn't. But, you know, as any administrator can tell you, that comes with the job. And it's always going to come down to what is safe. I don't want to, no one wants to see a bus accident or a senior who's junior driving themselves to school. They're not as experienced as they think they are. So those are all things that go through my head when I make the decision when there's no school. And the fact that we got into mid-January, and calling our first snow day, I consider that good. So we I watched that. I said that I've just jinxed it, and February will be horrible. So and the other thing I want to say to my report, you may have heard, I got a phone call from our wonderful high school principal early this morning telling me that there was no heat in the building. And I want to thank the high school staff, administration, and students for bearing with us. I want to thank Holly Anderson and her staff for quick response to it. It was a perfect storm. The wood chip boiler was down and both the main boilers in the building were down. made for a very cold building. And what I heard from the people that I talked to, it was so cold outside. When you're outside, you first come into the building, you seem warm, but once you're in long enough, it was getting pretty cold. By midday or mid-morning, and it was a half day for students anyways. So by mid-morning, the boilers were up, but it's a big building, not a very energy efficient building. So it takes a long time to get temperature up, but most of the staff I saw were wearing coats and hats in the building. So again, I want to thank them for sticking with us because I know the principal had some important professional development and learning work planned, and it was able to. Thanks for hanging in there with us, and thanks to the staff who responded to get it back up and running.
Question, back on snow days.
Yep.
If there's no school, does that automatically cancel games and practices?
Yes.
Understanding that you called it off at 4:30 and game might be at 6 at night.
Right. School is canceled, games are canceled. I got a message, I got a inquiry from the athletic director yesterday about practices. And I said, if school is canceled, practices are canceled. There have been exceptions over the years to that. Like a coach may appeal to me and say, we have a championship or a tournament, in 2 days, we really need to get a practice. Has the weather cleared by then? Are the roads clear? Because particularly in high school, we have students transporting themselves. So, no, and last night at the time that practice would be held, the weather wasn't any better. So, yeah, so, no, the rule is if school's closed, that's closed. And then, again, it's keep everybody safe. And I understand the importance of practices and how difficult it is to reschedule games, but safety is key. Any other question I could answer? It's not a perfect decision.
I'm sure every
I-
student liked
Well,
Yeah, I for one appreciated, I was driving home, time buses from work, time the buses were, would have been on the road to go home, and the roads, and I'm an experienced driver, I'm old. I appreciated the call, but I was that parent when my kids were in school saying, what was he thinking? What is happening? But as the day went on, I appreciated the call.
I'm sure at 7 o'clock yesterday morning, most parents were wondering, what was he thinking? Yeah.
Well, and I, as both an Arlington and an MAU parent, because I have a kid in one in both, it was not fun going to Arlington it's not so much in the morning, but on the way back, it was after practice, after like going up there to get work, because they canceled practice. I wish there was some way to sort of
When we first merged,
overrule that.
I was canceling Arlington whenever I canceled, and I was informed by the board that they would be able to do their own call.
So they can overrule their board can overrule your decision?
They want me to, the process that I use is they ask me to consult with they say that I'm not there, I'm not in Arlington, I don't see it, they have their own transportation, they have more flexibility. I have, at this point, agreed with the board to consult with the principals and make a mutual call with the principals. I felt that they could be open and safely run.
Well, thank you. I'm just gonna say.
I couldn't agree. And should it be revisited with the Arlington board? Possibly.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
We're gonna move on to the student representatives.
So we are at the start of the new semester, which is fun. There's not much new other than schedules have changed a bit, so. For sports, basketball, yes, we're playing MSJ away tonight, and we're playing BBA tomorrow. We always recommend to come see our home games for all winter sports. Support is always appreciated. And today we had our reality fair where students from other schools can come to. You can sign up for it. It helps students learn how to budget appropriately for futures if they choose a career path that they wish to pursue. And it helps them get a taste of reality, and it lets them experience what it's like to say you have savings, have credit cards, what it's like to have the pay for utilities, things like that. I went to it today, it was fun. And that's all I.
So our Climate Change Initiative Club has been working on getting compost bins for the high school, which we have accomplished. So we now have bins in the cafeteria that have trash, recycling, and compost sections. We're working on making more detailed signs because I think a lot of students are both too lazy to sort their trash and also confused about what they can put in what bin. So we're working on making signs that are more clear, and I want to work on making signs that actually include the stuff that we have in our cafeteria, like our plates and our silverware and stuff. We're also going to be doing a clothing drive by members of the club. We're going to bring in washed clothing that we don't wear anymore and sell them to high school students for like $1 as a fundraiser for the club and as a way to recycle clothing among our high school community. We're also, as a club, since I'm a member, we wanted to ask the board what your efforts have been in terms of making the high school at least more energy efficient and more carbon neutral, I guess. So, yeah, we just want to, we've been talking to Holly Anderson. She comes to our meetings sometimes. And we helped with the light installation of the LEDs last year. We assisted with that, so we talk about stuff in our club, but we don't really know what you guys are working on or what our capabilities are as a district and at the high school. So, in terms of the arts, some students were in the Sound of Music at the Monument Arts and Cultural Center a couple weeks ago, and we also have a couple of students that are participating in William-Sack River Theater Company's Legally Blonde, which is happening the first week of February. And the high school spring musical Honk is going to be starting up as well, with audition workshops this week and auditions at some point in the next couple weeks. We'll also be having elementary and middle school students participate in that as members of our cast. We haven't done a show like that in a while, so I'm not entirely sure what the details are for that. I don't think audition dates have been set for the little kids yet, but so that's exciting. And I think that's it, so. Questions?
I have one.
Is the change of the paper towels to the air blowers part of the environmental club? Is it an initiative or was that a school-wide thing?
No, that's connected to Holly Anderson, though. She's working with a separate group that's been advocating some upgrades in the bathrooms. So.
We're happy with the change.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I figured it was a green initiative, so that's why I asked the question.
I don't necessarily have a question, but I have a comment for the student representatives. Two things is one, it would be really awesome if you could help get attendance at the Spinelli Field informational meetings from the students at the high school. That's one comment. There's 2 dates. It would be really super to see some student support. That's one. Second, I did see The Sound of Music and it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. So congrats to all the participants, including Lynn, and I missed her performance. I went to the first set, but it was awesome.
We will let her know. It's her second time on stage ever.
I think Holly's probably the best suited to answer a question or.
I would keep meeting with Holly. I will speak with her. She was just showing me pictures today for the upgrades to the bathroom, and we were actually at a meeting on an energy project at Molly Starkville. So, as you know from her, I'm sure you know from her attending your meetings, this is also a passion of hers too, and a pride of hers. So work with her to bring proposals back to the board. The way the board works, they don't necessarily do an initiative on their own. It comes like Holly or the superintendent or the principal would bring up recommendations, say, here's a project. And I know that she is also working on a multi-year improvement plan for all the buildings, including the high school, 1 year, 5 year, 10 years, whatever. You know, everything from as simple as when we upgrade a roof, make sure that we bring the insulation under that up to the current building code. Clearly, the high school could be some big money issue around your windows. What might have been the energy efficient plant in 1964 when oil was 25 cents a gallon is clearly, you know, an energy with single pane glass floor to ceiling is no one's definition of energy. What those solutions may be and what the costs are, those are things that I've asked her to work on and bring forward to the board. I will speak to her. Please reach out to her. Keep inviting her to your meetings. I know she's spoken that she enjoys going to your meetings.
Have Chris go first because he has.
The sequence, I don't know. You on?
Yeah.
There.
Because, you know, you always complain that he
I
goes
do.
first, so.
I know, I have made that complaint before.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Payne. All right, so a couple highlights of some important dates coming up. So we will be again participating in our 3 times a year MAP testing, measures of academic progress. Their dates are the 24th and 25th. That's in both reading and math. I'm sure you've heard the spiel. One thing that I'm really proud of this year, though, is my data team is working really hard on supporting the school with a team level celebration, a grade level celebration, and then a school level celebration for students that are trying to celebrate students, that are meeting, that met their growth measure. And so these are all-inclusive events where, you know, so it's not like, hey, you didn't meet your growth, you go, you know, over here. They're all-inclusive events, but they're to celebrate, you know, students working hard and meeting growth measures. So we have some different things that the data team is recommending, and it's, you know, they're doing a really nice job of generating, you know, kind of some excitement and some focus on students just trying hard on these tests. Which is really all we ask of our, you know, of our students is just that they try the best that they can. So that's a positive thing. We've again been selected to participate in the NAEP testing. This is the test that's a national test that's often referred to as the nation's report card. They take a sample of 8th grade students. So it's not every 8th grader that tests, and they either take the test in reading or mathematics, not both if they're selected. There's letters that go home to families, so there's, you know, opt-out procedures if you know, parents are not, you know, comfortable with their students participating, but, you know, we obviously share all the details of how this is important information for us and how this helps, you know, just kind of see how states are performing, you know, academically across the country. So that is set up to take place on February 12th. And when it comes to all of these tests, including the VT-CAP and every other test that we have to take, I need to give a lot of props to Norm Nicholas, who is a school counselor at the middle school, and he does an endless amount of legwork behind the scenes and you know, on the scene of making these things happen, during the school day. So I thank you to him. Another important fun date to, put in the calendar, March 2nd, that's a Saturday. We're having our annual Winter Carnival. It's another event that there's a couple years that we weren't able to have that. We brought it back again last year. It was successful. So it's a fundraiser. It's a large fundraiser for the teams in the building. And other organizations like the PPSA, for example, can participate in the fundraiser to receive funds. We do this through different games that take place at the carnival, and then a generation of baskets. So we do different themed baskets and people can put in to try to win the basket. So that's a fun event at the middle school, Saturday, March 2nd. And then I also want to highlight our, it's freezing out on a January evening, but I'm gonna put us up into May and a nice, warm weather on May 31st. Hopefully it'll be beautiful and sunny. We'll be having our annual Patriot Challenge Day celebration. So if you've never experienced this at the middle school, I strongly encourage you to mark the calendar way out. Mr. Payne loves this event. I think misses this event. We welcome him back for one of his announcement as the MC, as the MC in the cafeteria for the team cheer, or in the gym for the team cheers. It's an opportunity for us to come together as a school. We participate in different events, kind of like a big field day, with a focus on teams and or advisories. So there's all different kinds of, different competitions and different challenges and things that students take place in. And it really is a very uplifting, community feel kind of day. And so I mean that. I strongly encourage anyone to come and hang out for an hour or two during Patriots Challenge Day. It's a pretty awesome event. The only other thing that I will say in my report, and keep it brief this evening, for part of our professional learning this afternoon, I had two teachers, both my PE teachers, Tracy Galley, Todd Ordway, do a really great presentation on how they've incorporated personalized learning plans into their PE class. And so, they've done a really nice job of working with students. They're doing things like having students record themselves doing different skills, so that way they can look back and reflect on those skills and kind of see where they need to make improvements. And they've uploaded evidence of the learning to the personalized learning plan, which is something that we, are really working on in the building, of having that personalized learning plan be a house for the evidence of learning, if you will. So they did a great job doing a nice, succinct, fairly brief presentation today, just showing teachers, like other teachers in the building, what they've tackled and how they've made this work in their setting. So that was pretty neat. I think I'll stop right there with the positive stuff and turn it over to Mr. Payne.
Any questions?
Oh, yeah, it's a question, sorry.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, mine is not a list of celebrations, mine is accreditation, so. Make sure if everybody can have one of these, this is a brief overview. Attachment. Right. Both documents should be double-sided for both of you. Pay attention at home. So when I was hired as principal 3 years ago now, the second question I asked the superintendent was, where are we in the accreditation cycle? And Jim said, you've got a team coming this year, so that was fun filled. So has anybody heard of NEASC? Have you heard the acronym before? So it's the New England Association of Schools and Colleges. They have they provide us with standards for accreditation, and we are scheduled on a 10-year cycle of self-reflection, feedback, which includes team visits to campus. So the first spring that I was here, they had a collaborative team come and visit us. They have a series of standards to look at. They give you feedback on those, and then you make a plan to start working on the recommendations, which we have been doing. Their decennial accreditation visit, so this is the end of the 10-year cycle. They are coming to visit us this March 3rd through the 6th. I know that that's voting season but I feel like we can pull this off. I don't want to reschedule these folks for the fall. The overview that you have, I hope is really just a quick snapshot. I can give you a 100-page handbook too, if I wouldn't do that to you folks because you got other things to do. But when they came to visit us 2 years ago, they identified 4 priority areas of growth for their standards. What they wanted to see is a vision of a graduate, and talked about that just a minute here. They wanted to see us supporting students' social and emotional well-being in the building. They wanted to see a written curriculum map across grades, across subjects, in a consistent format, and we can talk about that a little bit too. I also wanted to provide students with opportunities to learn and earn credit outside of the traditional academic way of doing things, and we've been working on that as well. So after their visit in the spring of 2022, in the fall of 2022, they send a letter. They went to Jim and myself that said, hey, congratulations, our board has reviewed your report. We have voted to continue your accreditation. We'll see you in 2 years. We would like to see progress on these 4 areas. So what I have for the second part of this overview is like, 2 sentences each. Again, I can provide more evidence for you. But we have provided a draft vision of a graduate. That is this document that you're looking at. It gives you the areas, and on the backside, it'll give you more depth in the area. That was a draft that was a product of departments talking about what they want to see kids be able to do upon graduation, and then drafting a 1-page document. It also references that the state of Vermont now also has a portion of a graduate, a vision of a graduate at the state level. So this is something that is coming not only from our accreditation, but also from the Agency of Education that they'd like to see. So we've referenced those in drafting this document. We have, for number 2, we have spent the last 1.5 years in professional learning, training staff to deliver what is called School Connect. It is a curriculum that also comes with professional learning to do lessons and advisory. I would give it mixed reviews right now because advisory has returned for the first time this year. School Connect lessons are supposed to be going on once a week. I think it's an area of growth for us, but we can at least show NEASC that we have determined a curriculum and we have a pathways for it. So, curriculum mapping, we have a common template. And what I mean by curriculum map, you have a student who is taking 10th grade English. I think what NEASC would like to see is a document that is available both for teaching colleagues, but also for students and for family members to say, what exactly are you teaching in 10th grade English? And you could open a document and it could say, here are your 6 units of study in the 10th grade year. These are the skills that your student will be able to have. And these are the resources, perhaps even listing the books that you might be reading in the 10th grade. And that would be consistent across 9 through 12 English. That would be consistent across 9 through 12 social studies. It's a tool that benefits not only supporting colleagues. We have a lot of new teachers. It would be a helpful tool, so they don't know what do you expect me to teach. But I also think it would be helpful to the community to understand what exactly your student is learning at the grade level and by the subject area. We will not have that completed by the time they get here. It's not their expectation. Their expectation is that we've at least adopted a common template and we are working forward to complete that. So today, for our professional learning department, spent their time hashing out units and things like that. I spent 2.5 hours with the English department, talked more about Gilgamesh than I have since the 11th grade, and it brought back painful memories, but that's okay. We'll move forward. And then number 4, in the time since we've had the visit, we have brought back community-based learning. Allison Brigham is our instructor. This is one opportunity that students can earn credit outside of the traditional classroom. First year was last year. She had 65 participants. This year we have 130 students participating in a wide variety of activities in the community, whether it be going to Benel and assisting with PE class with 4th graders, or going to the hospital to shadow people. So there's a wide variety of things. And I think it's an excellent
opportunity for kids. It is one piece, but it's a piece of evidence that we will share with them. The reason I'm sharing this with you is that when the visiting team comes in March, they have a very structured timeline. They arrive Sunday evening. They do training of their team members, and then they are in the building Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They meet with a series of groups. They visit classrooms. They talk to student groups. They look at reports, and they do a lot of writing because they're responsible for writing the next report saying, hey, here are the standards, here are the progress, here's the evidence that we see, and moving forward. One of their meetings will be with the superintendent. So Jim and I have already been talking about that. And another is they would like an opportunity to speak to board members. Part of what they're going to be asking you is, are you aware of the goals the school is working on? Have you seen or had conversations to see, the community or with school members that say you're supporting this work, things like that? They didn't want to set folks down in front of them and wonder where the questions are coming from. This is the first piece of information. Jim has told me when and where I'll be able to provide additional information. Again, I want to be really clear with folks. I'm not trying to gloss over anything. I want candid feedback from folks that they interview, but I also want candid feedback from the visiting team. This is not gotcha. This is not an agency of education. This is peers. These are all active principals, teachers, administrators coming in and saying, this is what we see you doing well, and this is what we think you could continue to work on going into the future. So I participated in a visit. I visited Woodstock the first week of December. Weirdly enough, Woodstock is very similar to us, not in any kind of demographic sense, but the fact that they were too working on vision of graduate, mapping the curriculum, also that their building is in need of a pretty big rebuild. So
We expect that in their visit is, it could be the last hurrah for many board members. Because
It's
they're coming that Sunday and the election will be Tuesday.
Yeah.
Which I guess is better than it being a week later and you may have 7 new board members who are just saying, I'm a new board member.
Yeah, there is an option. In fact, Woodstock postponed theirs for 7 months. Didn't even explore that option, but I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just keep working through. But just to know, and again, when we met with folks, it was a Zoom option. It doesn't require a quorum. We met with 3 members of, similar district in that there are multiple towns who send kids to the high school. So folks zoomed in.
Keep us updated on when we.
Yep.
It's a big process.
Yeah. Have a good team though. We have a very good team.
Any questions? Or move on to committee reports?
I have a question. I'm sorry, I couldn't find unmute. It's not, the paperwork was not in the board packet. And since I'm not there, is there any way you could share them with me?
Absolutely. You want me to, I can go through,
You send it to Amy and email it to?
yeah.
Yep.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
From a education, athletics and activities committee, I haven't held any meetings just because it's just Dave and I on the committee right now. So I'm kind of holding until after the elections for us to figure out additional members. And then I'll reconvene meetings at that point. It didn't make sense with just the 2 of us to keep it going. So that's where we are with that. From Susan asked me to talk about Spinelli. From a Spinelli perspective, we kind of talked a little bit about that already. We have 2 dates, informational sessions, February 12th, February 27th, 5:30, 6:30, both days. The intent of those meetings is to provide a presentation to the public on, why we feel that this is a necessary project. We'll have guest speakers, testimonials from other areas. We have a PowerPoint presentation we're working on, and we will be advertising these meetings through a multitude of venues, Facebook, paper, so forth.
Dennis, anything?
Sounds fine.
The only other would have been finance, but we had all the meetings for finance we're at the regular meetings, so. Good. Any questions? Okay. We're gonna move on to the chair's report. I'm just gonna I don't usually speak, but I'm gonna take the opportunity to, in this case, I want to highlight the Spinelli, the group that have been working on the Spinelli, and thank them. I think you guys have done a great job. They have spent a lot of time listening to the community and are prepared to frame it for people to come and listen and make a decision for their vote. And I just want to urge people to come out and listen and then to come out and vote once they've made a decision. Voting is important. I remember after the last Spinelli vote, I knew of several people who really wanted the field but did not vote. Everybody's counts, so please come out and vote either way, come vote. And I also want to, we have a lot of open board seats. If you are an active member in the community or a member in the community and have an interest in the board seat, please email me or email someone on the board, and we're happy to talk. I'm personally happy to talk about what it's like to be on the board. You know, it's a great way to participate and provide value in your community. We need people to sit on the boards. So that is my chair's report for this evening.
Deadline for.
The 28th or the 29th. 29th. Yeah.
Good.
I know we have.
There's still time.
There is still time. So it is an important part of our community. So hopefully we can find some more board members. And that's it. We have, there was a budget status report. I believe that was posted in, I believe that was posted. And I have a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Thank you. Have a good night.